New York State troopers, MTA police checking bags, and National Guard troops standing watch.
Is martial law coming? And what should we do when it does come?
And the police department announced a new surge team today.
Hey, I'm David Foster, pastor of City of Faith Christian Center in Nashville. And I want to tell you about this dream I had. Now, this dream, the Lord showed me this April 4th, 2023. And the original video is on our channel. I left it there at timestamp it. But the Lord has impressed upon me recently to be able to go back and record the dream. And the reason why is because a few probably days later, I had another dream. And then sometime after that, I had a third dream. And these dreams all were tied together. And so I'm going to record them now and share them with you so that you'll be able to see and hear and discern what's going on, right? And so I saw martial law being instituted in many areas, and it looked like in a city. And the reason I said it looked like in a city is because it reminded me of where I grew up at. And so as, you know, I saw the people coming in, the military. And one thing about the military that throughout this dream is that they all wear uniform. They all had on the same type of gear, and they all wore the same color. They all had the color black on. So, which means that it was a uniformity in the military, which signifies to me that there was a uniformity in the government. And so many people, you know, were taken by surprise. I remember we were running and we were running up this hill, like getting away. And I was telling people, come on, come on. You know, and some people were coming, but other people, they were kind of dragging their feet and they really wasn't heeding the urgency of the situation. And I say that to say because the Lord always gives warning, and he always, the scripture says that he would do nothing without first revealing it to his prophets. And so there are going to be people who don't heed the warning now and don't heed the warning then, right? So again, we were running, we were taken by surprise. Many people, they were, you know, people were getting beat, people were getting arrested, some people were getting shot. And the military I saw it, I was in the dream, and then I saw a wide view, like they were swooping into various cities. And I believe that was because they were wanting to restore order and to let the people know, hey, we are in charge and you are not in charge, right? And so I kept telling people, look, we don't have much time, But people kept dragging their feet and they kept delaying. And I was pointing at the military and telling them, you know, but people still didn't have urgency, right? And so I had to leave a few people behind. I remember people began to arm themselves and, you know, people were resisting the government, but in their resistance, they were met with force or counteracting force. So the government was not backing down, but guess what? Neither were the people. The people were not backing down, right? And so I remember myself throughout the dream being armed, and I was heavily armed. And I say that because I didn't just have like a handgun. No, I remember having a backpack, bulletproof vest, and I remember, you know, being equipped, like having gear on as I was traveling. Throughout the dream, there were vehicles that the military had, but I don't remember myself or any of the groups of people I were with having vehicles or traveling through vehicles, right? But it was a new government setup, and this government was very highly advanced, highly evolved, technologically advanced, well beyond on what we had. Now, I say that because it wasn't like this. They were like this Star Trek type of government advancement. It wasn't like they brought some future technology into the present. No, it was a present technology that they had kept hidden from the people. And so it wasn't so far advanced that we couldn't understand it or comprehend it. But I can tell that they had it for a while. The government, the militia, police, military, whatever the case may be, they were well versed in it. They were well trained in it. They knew how to operate it. It wasn't like this learning curve. It was as if they had been preparing for this day for a while. And the only people who were caught off guard were the people who were not listening, myself even, and those others that were with me. And at times I saw various numbers of people, sometimes with small groups, sometimes with larger. The people that were with me, we weren't taken by surprise either. We had been preparing for this for a while, as if like, you had a bag packed, ready to go. And whenever the time comes, we're going to be in and out, right? And so I remember we were going through a certain area, and I remember like going like up the stairs, not like you go up a stairs to like, it was outside. It was more like, but it was like stairs, like we were entering into a new part of the city, right? It wasn't necessarily a building, but there was, it was a different section or a different zone that we were going into. And so I remember coming to it, and we were traveling, a group of us, we were traveling. And I remember one of the gentlemen with us, they asked him to stop at this detector. Now, the people who asked him to stop at this detector, I do not remember them having, guns, or I don't remember them having tactical or any type of military gear. But I do remember them being dressed differently, as if they were upper echelon or of a different class, or like they were elitist, I should say. But there was a difference, and they had the authority to speak and tell us what to do. And so what they did was they said, "Hey, you stop at this." They told us stop at this detector, and the gentleman that was with us, we all obliged, but he went up to the detector, and I remember the detector like scanning. I'm looking at my notes. I looked at the detector scanning his face, and I remember him sticking his tongue out. You know how you when younger, you go to the doctor, and they put a stick on your mouth or your tongue and tell you to say ah, right? I remember him going up to there, putting his face there, sticking his tongue out and saying like ah, right? And so that gave me the sense in the dream that they were scanning for a new type of disease or contagion, right? And this disease or contagion wasn't something that one person gets, right? Because they only asked one person to do it, and so he did it. And I remember like we were anxious as it was scanning his face, and as it was testing to see if he was, I guess, quote unquote, sick. All of us was anxious. I can feel the anxiousness in the dream. It was extremely heavy. We was waiting for the test results, right? And then as we were waiting for the test results, he ended up passing, like I said. And once he passed the test, there was a sense of relief, right? And a sense of peace that came in the dream. And no one else was asked to take the test. So that's what leads me to believe that it was something going around that was contagious. I don't know if they were, you know, if they were implanting it in people, or people were catching it, or it was dropped by a bomb. I don't have those type of details, but I do know that once he passed, we were all cleared to proceed into this next zone or section of the city. Now, no one had on any mask or any type of, protection to keep them from catching this. So that's what leads me to believe that it was something that may be inserted into the people, right? So it wasn't like anything that we were afraid to catch. Let me say it like that. Okay. And even the elitists, the people who asked us to stop, they didn't have on any mask or anything like that. And so as he passed it, I remember we were like, we kind of ran and hurried on, and we were elated that we were able to pass this particular test, right? And so we slowly ran off. The next part of the dream was, I remember going into seeing this building, this Nike building. And I remember the finish on the building was metallic, but it was kind of like it was a metal that I had not seen before per se, but it was like, it gave me the feeling that, like, we've been in New York. It reminded me of the New York building in its size, but not in its shape. It was like rounded, like a sphere type of building, but the metallic finish on it gave me the idea in the dream of how advanced the society was, right? And the technology that was there, right? And so as we were going into the building, I remember we were in there, we was picking up the shoes and looking at the shoes. And at first I thought it was abandoned, but two things led me to know that it wasn't abandoned. Number one, the store was neat. There wasn't anything tossed around. No one tried to steal anything. And then as we were preparing to check out, I do remember looking around and seeing various, like, different types of, like, I knew we were being watched, right? Like cameras and surveillance. I knew we were being watched, but no one tried to steal anything. We were going to buy these shoes, you know. My family, we shoot for that. We love shoes. And so I remember going to buy and wanted to buy these shoes. And the guy, I remember specifically, he said, you have to earn this type of currency, right? I don't remember what he said or how to earn it per se, but I do remember me not having that currency. And I believe that's the Lord was allowing me to know that the currency that we have now in 2023, time of the dream 2024, me re-recording this, is not the same currency that's going to be used then, right? I do remember my response. I was like, man, I got money. Y'all know I get money. And they was like, no, this new currency, right? But I didn't have it. As I said, the store was run by AI. And the guy who was there with me, he was buying some shoes. And I remember seeing the total on there. It was a reasonable amount. So it wasn't something like that was a jump in prices or astronomical like that. But anyway, he didn't have enough of the currency. So he went around to the computer and he put some code in. And then he said he used to work there, right? And so I assumed that, he worked there either, before AI took over, which means that the workforce had been replaced by AI. There were no humans working in the building at all, not security or anything like that. There was no humans present other than myself and the group that I was with. And he put a code in. Now, he said he used to work there, and I don't know how true that was, but to me, the way he was typing, it was like a hacker type, and he was in there, but he only put enough in to get his shoes, and didn't like hack it to where we could all get anything. So I don't know that, there was a sense of honesty, integrity there. Somewhat, I guess, some code there. And so I remember, again, throughout the dream, other than the initial part, we were free, but not necessarily, we didn't have the same freedom we have today. Let me say it like that. But we were constantly on the move, on the run, and moving from place to place. We were going we knew where to get, where to go, and we knew what. There was a sense of we had to be there at certain times, because as we were leaving the Nike store, there was another part, and there was this melee. And I remember the military coming in. I remember them specifically. I remember them, beating someone. The person was resisting, and one of the people that was with us, he ran over there. We was no, we're not. Come on. But it was but he went over there to help them anyway. And then the people was come on, we gotta get to where we're going. We gotta get there. And to me that seemed like we had to get there by a certain time, or before the curfew, or before we are caught out in an area that we shouldn't be in, during this time. There were more people than police, right? And the people knew it, right? That's why I'll make a point of this. It wasn't some slavery type of thing where people were afraid of the police in the sense of we weren't hiding. No, we just knew to go to our safe zone. We were obeying the law, but at the same time, we were out in various parts of the dream doing the things that we needed to do, right? And so the people were not afraid of the military, the police. They resisted. They were fighting back. And again, some were shot, some were beaten, some were arrested, doing various altercations, right? I was not scared either, in the sense of I was not fearful for losing my life, but I was always remembering to watch my surroundings. Everywhere we went, I remember looking around, and I remember, paying attention to the various cameras and surveillance that were there. You know how you would go places and some of the cameras may be hidden. Well, these cameras were not hidden. No, they were there, and they wanted you to know that they were there, that they were watching, right? And so they were everywhere. But as we were going on, this is what I saw in these dreams. So I want you to again subscribe to this channel. Got another video coming about. I know I got 2 more videos specifically about what the 2 dreams in particular the Lord gave me. And I want you to just stay connected with me. Let me know your comments down below. Comment, share, like, subscribe, set your post notification on. And I'm going to be back with you soon.